Hi guys, and welcome to Trucking Along with Kearsey. That's me, your positive voice in trucking. I am in Ohio right now. Don't ask me where I'm going yet because I don't know. But I got a lot of emails this week about deleted trucks, what they are they legal? How does it affect performance? Why would somebody do that? So we're going to talk about this. You really need to know what kind of truck you're buying. Okay, the first thing to know about a deletion, what it is. People ask me, I don't know what they mean. So they're talking about the exhaust system. Okay, it's the exhaust system, the emissions. You have that on your car, so you're familiar with it. And now we have a system that requires fluid, and there's all kinds of sensors and computer stuff and all that good stuff that it regulates the carbons and the emissions and all that stuff. So back around 2007, this started becoming a thing. And in the trucks that, like, I trained in a 2012 that didn't have the DEF system, diesel exhaust fluid system in there, and there's also filters where the carbon builds up, and you have to do something called a regen that allows the filters to clean out. If not, your system will just like shut down. It'll flash all kinds of scary codes and you're like, oh, what's going on? And it's really like a buildup in the filter system. And so it's all about environmental protection. It's to reduce the pollution in the air. Okay, which means it's covered by what? Environmental Protection Agency. Now, would you believe, I had to go back and research this because being somebody that has no interest in buying a truck, really, I really haven't done investigation and research on which truck models are good, which transmissions are good, which engines are good, and things like that. I didn't really know what the fine was for altering the exhaust system on the truck and the emissions on the truck. So basically what happens is somebody will go into the computer system, the ECM, that is like the brain of the truck. And it tells all the sensors what to do, and it tells the truck how to react to things, that kind of thing. So they change the software so that the truck will bypass the newer emission system. Okay. Now, when you do that, you have some consequences. Number one, the fine. I went back and looked at this. By law, EPA can actually give a fine of up to $37,500 per day. Per day for what they call major infractions, and $7,500 per day for minor infractions. But who gets to determine what those infractions are? Them. So you're talking big bucks. Even if you just said, oh, it's a $7,000 fine, it's still $7,000. And, you know, if they can sit there and say, well, you have to pay this fine until you can fix the truck and get it back up to legal specifications, you know, you're talking a pretty penny. So then I went back trying to find how much would it cost to actually bring the truck back to legal specifications. And I did find a 2015 Peterbilt. They wanted $15,000 to bring this back to specifications. They also, when they do this deletion, not only do they play with the brain of the truck, but they also take out the filter. They can put a pipe in. So when you go around and you inspect the truck and you look, things look the same. DOT would not be able to just go and look at your truck and see that it's altered. However, apparently there are states, like California is a real stickler. So when I was researching, it looked like all these people that had these kind of trucks were staying out of California. But now California, They were also naming Texas, certain counties in Texas. It's not a state thing apparently, but it's certain counties. And then New York State and Minnesota are also supposed to be taking on some of these same laws and issues when it comes to testing for the emissions. So even though by federal law it is illegal to alter your emissions on the trucks, and this goes even for a pickup truck, like not just the tractors, if you tamper with your pickup truck that's a diesel and you take the system out and alter the emissions, then it's going to be the same thing. You're still going to have to worry about getting caught. And so that's one thing. Something else is when you go to try to fix the truck, you're not going to get any kind of reputable dealers or mechanics or repairmen. You're going to have to go to people that know they're working on an illegal truck. And they're also going to have the software to bypass the alterations that you made in your computer brain, in your truck's computer brain. So now you're going to be working with scrupulous people. Because if you're driving something that's illegal, you're basically going to implicate somebody else in something. Now, will people do it? Sure, you can find people to do anything. Are they going to be people that you can go back and legally say, you screwed up my truck, you didn't fix this repair, I'm supposed to have a warranty on this item, on this part. What are you going to do? You're going to go back and say, I'm going to take you to court, I'm going to take you to small claims court because, you charged me such and such for a battery or an alternator and it's not working and blah, blah, blah. No, they're going to turn around and say, screw you, take me to court. Guess what? You ain't getting nothing out of me because you have an illegal truck. Reselling the truck. If you go to sell a truck that is deleted, you very well may have issues. You can't trade the truck in. And even if you found a dealer that would accept the truck, I'm sure they're not going to give you the same value that you would, you might be able to sell it to somebody else, like another driver, an owner-op, an independent. You're not going to be able to trade that truck in to go get a newer truck. And, I would imagine that if you sell the truck to somebody and they find out that you altered the emissions and you didn't tell them, my guess is they're going to go back and report your butt. And then you're going to get all those fines that we talked about earlier that you really don't want. It's just not a good thing. Now, why do people do it? Because me researching, I found people that said that it improves performance of the truck, it boosts the horsepower, it's less of a drain on the actual truck and the electrical systems because you're adding so many more sensors. Whenever you add any kind of technology, you're adding more things that can go wrong. And you're putting a drain. The more and more and more that you put on, you either have to increase your capabilities or you're going to drain that mechanical system. And it doesn't matter what that is. That just makes sense, right? So people were saying that you can extend the life of the engine. You get better performance. You get better fuel mileage. You're not paying the cost of the DEF. Apparently, somebody added it up, and it's like $6,000 a year he saved just on not having to buy the diesel exhaust fluid, or DEF, that you also have to buy with your fuel. So there are some people that are really into this, and that's what they want to do, and they'll say, well, I'm not going to get caught. There are other people that are saying, well, no, I'm not willing to take the risks. Know that it's illegal. Okay. One of the things about buying a truck guess what? You have to go research, and you have to go ask people, and you have to find out what years certain technologies came out, what engines were good, what transmissions were good. You know, you could get a bad transmission with a really good engine and in this one truck and be like, oh crap, what do I do? Now I do not claim to be an expert on any of these trucks, okay? It's true, Prime babies us. If something breaks, I message my road assist and say, I'm taking it into this shop, or I need a tow, or actually I've never needed a tow. I mean, blowouts or whatever, but I've never actually needed a tow. So, that's one thing. Like, we drive new equipment, and it does, the word that I heard that was kind of interesting was equipment snob. And yes, I'm an equipment snob. You know, we have tire pressure monitors on our tractors that tell us if, you know, our tires are getting low. We have tire inflation systems on the trailer. So if we start to lose air on the trailer, it just plumps the tire back up so that we can hobble down to a shop and get the tires replaced or get the tires fixed or whatever. So, you know, you become a little bit of an equipment snob. I mean, APUs and everything's new and bright and shiny and reliable. And, you know, I have had trouble with used cars. So I'm kind of like, well, you know, used car gave me trouble, and I knew the mechanics. You know, when you're driving out here on the road and you're an owner-op, you have to build relationships. You have to build relationships with mechanics. You have to build relationships with people before you even buy your truck. You know, you have to know which trucks are good and which trucks are bad and what years. I had a 2017 International with an Allison 10-speed transmission. It sucked. The transmission sucked, okay? The engine was fine, but the transmission sucked. The person that had that truck before me said that he replaced the wiring harness twice in 1 year. So, you know, there's things that you need to know and you need to research. And, you know, people think, oh, well, I'm going to buy a Pete because it has a good reputation. Well, Peterbilts of certain years might have been really good, but then Peterbilts of other years might have been really bad. You know, I blew a head gasket on my 2016 Cascadia. That sucker still kept running. I drove 300 miles and made my delivery and then went and took it to the shop. You know, how I did that, I don't freaking know. But I did it. And this truck, I had only 6 months. And the exhaust system sensor went. And the dumb dealership that I went to, which was a real reputable dealership, they actually replaced the entire exhaust system. And my guess is it's because it was under warranty, so they figured they'll get the money from Navstar, that is like the main maker. But you know, things go wrong and you need to know what you're looking at. And if you don't know, then go find the right people. One thing that I really have a problem with when people come into CDL school and they'll ask me, well, I want to buy my own truck. I want to be my own boss. Okay, you don't know how to drive the freaking truck yet. There's a lot more to just driving the truck. There's time management. There's figuring out. Just getting to know the truck can take a long time. You know, and every truck is different. Even the manuals, you drive a manual and you have to get used to the clutch and the shifter going from truck to truck, because they can all be different and they react differently. You know, you have to get used to the sounds of your truck. You have to get used to the maneuvers and, you know, the maneuvering capabilities, because, like, I had to slow down in this International compared to my Cascadia when making turns. So, you know, there's just differences. And then to be an owner-op, you know, you have to know about the insurances and the annual reports. And there are people you can go to. I'm going to link post-trip. I'm going to put them down below. I'll put them up top. There are people that you can go to. There are a lot of different YouTubers that will help. You know, James Best, he has trucks running from him. James Hensley. And some of these people are on the drama side of trucking YouTube world, but they are really interested in helping people. They're really interested in growing. So there are people out there that will help you. Take advantage of those people and just don't get in this thing of, you know, people get in this idea in their head that being an owner-op is great. And I'm gonna guess that it can be, but it can also get you into a lot of trouble. It can also waste you a lot of money if you don't know what you're doing. And, you know, I've been a company driver for almost 6 years, and I've said this in the past, and people think it's because I hate independent contractors and, oh, you bash them. No, I bash the ones that say and tell people that have no trucking experience whatsoever. I bash them for saying, oh, you should go lease. Okay? Let somebody get into trucking, figure out if it's even for them before they lock themselves into any kind of lease or buying or lease purchase or anything like that. And I'm not talking Prime. I'm talking about all these different companies. I see it at, you know, Swift and Stevens and all these different companies that people see on YouTube, oh, I can make this much money, but then they don't see the expenses. They don't know what their liabilities are. And that's something that they really need to know. In addition to figuring out how to deliver on time, learning the truck stops, learning the routes, learning how to back up, learning where to park and how to deal with paperwork, how to deal with claims, understanding the hours of service rules, you know, and that's just a normal daily situation. So then you add in all these other specifications and requirements. If you want to go become an independent contractor, you want to go lease, you want to own a truck, blah, blah, blah. There's so much more to learn. And I just fear that there are a lot of people that come into this thinking with unrealistic expectations, oh, this is what I'm going to do, and everything's going to be wonderful and rosy, and it doesn't work out that way. You know, you buy a truck for $40,000 and then turn around and find out it needs $35,000 of work, and you weren't expecting that. You know, or you think you're going to go and get a truck and everything's going to be great, and then you get an insurance quote that could be $35,000, $60,000. You know, if you don't have any trucking experience, you're going to pay a lot. This year, they're talking about raising the insurance prices again. So $750, I should just do a whole video about that, but the insurance was $750,000 limits is what is the minimum, and you know, a lot of people have that. Why would they have more than what they need, what is required? And it turns out that only 0.5%, not 1%, 0.5% of accidents are not covered by that $750,000. But they have a bill going in to Congress now that wants to raise it to $5 million in coverage. Well, it's 5 times what? More than 5 times what is required now. And that's going to be a big problem for a lot of people who, you know, they're going to base your rates on whether or not you've ever owned a truck before, how long your LLC's been open, what your credit rating is, what your driving record is, how long you've been driving. All these things go into play. So know what you're getting into. Know what you're getting into. And I admit, I never had any interest in owning a truck because I see what a lot of these people out here go through, and that's just not what I want. You know, if I have a problem, I call up and there's a tow truck, or, you know, there's somebody coming out to fix my tire or whatever. You own your truck. Now you have to calculate, oh, it's $1,000 to replace the tire. It's $250 just for the roadside call, plus the mileage and the time. And, you can wind up with a roadside repair that's $2,000. Who wants that? I mean, I had a friend that had a brake chamber replaced on the side of the road, and the guy's under there with a soldering iron and everything. And, I don't want to have to worry about that stuff. But anyway, tell me what you think about deleted trucks. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I hope to see you out here trucking along. Bye.